Well. The Toronto Blue Jays win game number 1 of the World Series, and now we are on to game number 2 tonight from the 6. A big game 1 yesterday. We went 2-1 on the best bets. The only bet that we didn't get right was Dodgers money line. The over easily cashed. Shohei Otani obviously hit a big, home run to cut the lead to 30-something like Chris Paul did back in the day, but he goes over his total base mark, and here we are. 3 more best bets for game number 2 of the World Series, but Toronto victorious 11-4 as they are now 3 games away from claiming their first World Series championship in over 20 years. Folks, before you end the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more daily MLB best bets here on the channel. Obviously, no game 3 tomorrow, so we will have our best bets up for game 3 on Monday. Maybe we'll have that, probably have that late Sunday night here on the channel, so make sure to look out for that. But here again are 3 best bets for game number 2 of the World Series. Also on the channel, folks, our NBA best bets. That's going to be posted later today. I'm going to try to get this video up by 4 o'clock, so hopefully the NBA video is up around 6, so make sure to be on the lookout for that. Also on the channel, and Greedo plays them there, UFC 321 predictions. Tom Aspinall taking on Cyril Gahn for the heavyweight championship today. Also our college football predictions. Again, a lot of sports action today on Saturday. College football, UFC, MLB, NBA. We got you all covered as the sports equinox is happening on Monday, so can't wait for that. Also, all right, let's just get into it. Our first of 3 best bets, NFL best bets as well. Yeah, that's tomorrow. Okay. On to the first of our 3 best bets today. Give me Shohei Otani again. Okay, guys. If we're gonna keep getting this line, I'm just gonna take it. Okay? And, have I been at the center of the anti-Shohei agenda? Kind of. But if I'm going to get Otani at minus 135 for over 1.5 total bags, yesterday we got it at minus 120 and Otani at the solo home run. If I'm going to continue to get this line for Shohei, I'm going to continue to take it. Now, so when I recorded the video for game 1 of the World Series, I recorded it ahead of time a little bit. So that's why you heard me say Gausman starting for the Blue Jays. At least that's what I thought was going to happen. Of course, they went Savage. Well, okay, going into game number 1, I thought it was going to be Gausman, and I had this prop for Otani. It ended up being Savage, and obviously Otani didn't hit the home run off of the starting pitcher for Toronto, but he ended up hitting it, obviously, in the 7th inning, was it? Yeah, it was the 7th inning. I'm going to take the line that I wanted against Kevin Gausman, and that's over 1.5 total bags. I'm not saying who I think is going to win the game right now. Again, that's going to be our final best bet of the video, but I think Otani to either put together 2 singles, a double, or a home run, which may be the most likely, honestly, is perfectly fine at minus 135. Again, we have multiple ways of getting this for Shohei, and everything I had said going into game 1 still remains. Now, again, Gausman did a pretty good job. He managed fairly well, and obviously the Toronto Bats really got through. They tie it up in the bottom of the 4th, and then that 9-run in bottom of the 6th for Toronto breaks the game open and obviously puts them up 11-2 before Otani hit his 2-run, skyscraping shot, I can say, into right field to cut the lead to 11-4. But, I like this spot for Shohei quite a bit. I like it against Gausman. I still have my concerns about Kevin Gausman. Again, Savage pitched really well in game number 1, but I look at Gausman, I'm like, all right, again, this is a guy who's going to give up runs. I don't think the Blue Jays are in that bad of a spot tonight, especially after the momentum they got yesterday. Obviously, I questioned if they were going to get one at home, and they did. Now, again, you're not playing with house money because you're obviously on paper you're expected to win home games, and that's the whole part of having home field advantage. But now they're really, looking to push forward and win back-to-back games. And they have a great opportunity to do that tonight. But obviously, we'll start Kevin Gausman. I just think, again, Otani has a great matchup against him here. I know Shohei struggled against Trey Savage early in the game. I completely understand that. Otani strikes out, first batter of the game. He grounds out in the 2nd inning with the bases loaded. In the 5th inning, he strikes out looking, and obviously it's the home run in the 7th. And then in the top of the 9th, as the Toronto fans chant, "We don't need you," Otani walks and stares down the crowd. It is what it is. Again, Dodgers lose the game by 7 runs, but I'm grateful that Otani went out there and got it done for us in terms of the home run. Again, this can happen at any point in the game. It can. This can be a bullpen home run like Otani hit yesterday. off of Fisher. This can be off of Kevin Gausman. It doesn't matter when it occurs. I just need Otani to find a way to get 2 bags. And I think the most likely outcome is an extra base knock by itself rather than 2 singles, just the way Otani's been hitting in this postseason. Again, he had one of the greatest games of all time in game number 4 of the NLCS against the Milwaukee Brewers. I understand that. And then obviously he hits the home run yesterday. But I think where Otani's going to do the most damage is with the extra base knock. I mean, look what Otani's done all postseason long, and he's still a 222 hitter in the playoffs, And yeah, the home run numbers are absurd. I mean, he's, for a guy who we're talking about has been ice cold in the playoffs, he still has 6 home runs, which is ridiculous, but he is a 222 hitter, and the OBP's 340, and the OPS, again, he bats 222, and we're saying he's struggling, and he's got an over 1,000 OPS. Again, that's just what Otani's going to do for a baseball team, but I think the easiest way for this to happen is going to be through an extra base knock. Look at the last 3 games Otani's played. Game 3 of the NLCS against the Brewers, what does he do? Triple to lead off the game. Boom. Cash that immediately. Game 4 of the NLCS against the Brewers. Obviously, 3 home runs, 12 total bags. And then you look at game number 1 of the World Series against the Blue Jays, right? That solo home run does it. Obviously, you get the total bag mark right just off of that. I mean, I think that's why I just think that the two singles, again, it can't happen, and 2 knocks can't happen for Otani. He's only had multiple hits twice all year long in the postseason. That was in game 1 of the wild card round when we were still in September against the Cincinnati Reds, and then obviously the 3 home run game. And against the Reds, Otani had 2 homers. So we haven't seen Otani put together 2 singles in a game yet. I think this is why we're going to see this being an extra base knock. Again, regardless of it being a home run, regardless of it being a double or potentially a triple like we saw in the NLCS, I feel like Otani's going to find a way to get over 1.5 total bags. And another thing that you have to, look at when you pick this as well, okay, there's guarantees in this game. Otani's going to get the most at-bats out of any Dodger. You look at that at-bat that he has in the top of the 9th yesterday. I know, again, he was already over his base mark at that point, but not many Dodgers batters had 5 at-bats yesterday. It was just Otani and Betts. So that's the luxury we have picking Otani because he bats leadoff. On top of that as well, Dodgers are guaranteed 9 at-bats. They're in Toronto. Regardless of what the score is, it can be 10-0 Toronto. Hell, it can be 10-0 Los Angeles, and Otani will still get that 5th at-bat potentially, or just another inning at the plate in the 9th, obviously, with the Dodgers being the road team. And I just like the matchup with Kevin Gausman, Gausman, I know his ERA is still 2 in the postseason, but, Gausman hasn't gotten that deep into starts, so you're going to see that Toronto bullpen in which Otani did go yard off yesterday. And again, Otani's just going to see a lot of opportunities at the plate. I think, I think that 1 extra base knock will come eventually, regardless of that being a double or a home run. I think Otani will get it done. I'm not saying the Blue Jays are going to lose this game. I'm not saying Otani's going to will Los Angeles to victory here, but I do think Shohei's able to get it done. And again, if we are going to continue to be offered this line, I will continuously take it. It's just, I've seen Otani play. I know he was going through his dry spell and his drought, and I don't know if he's still on that. I know he homered yesterday, but that was a late game home run when the game was already out of hand. How the Dodgers were down 9 runs when Otani hit the home run, but if we are offered this line, we're sure as hell going to take it. So give me Shohei Otani over 1.5 total bases today on the road in Toronto in game number 2 of the World Series, minus 135 for Otani. Again, Toronto, we don't need you. Maybe they don't, but I think Otani is going to make a big difference for Los Angeles today, minus 135 for Shohei. On to our second best bet. It was so good, we got to do it again. I can't believe I'm being offered this line again. It's like the Otani line. Usually Otani lines, we saw throughout the course of the regular season, Otani over 1.5 total bags, unless it was a god-awful matchup for him, it would always be sitting at minus 150, and I get it's a postseason game. Pitching can be better when we get into October, but I'm still going to side with Otani in that spot, regardless of my, Dodger and anti-Dodger bias at times. And now we're looking here at the over-under. It's 7.5 once again. I'm going to take it again. Yesterday we had a plus 100 for the 7.5 run over. I'm going to do it again. I look at the pitching matchup. This is the matchup that I thought going into the series we were going to see a lot of runs in. I get it was a little bit of a, I don't want to say it was a reach to take the over yesterday because it won, but obviously it was somewhat of an ambitious pick considering it was the underdog in the 7.5 run total run line yesterday. But Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Kevin Gausman, that sounds like runs to me. It really does. And we talked about yesterday or a couple days ago before game 1 of the World Series about how eventually Blake Snell is going to crack. Snell's been great, but, he's going to have a game where he's going to get hit, and obviously Toronto was that team to do that, and that's the question I had always asked was, okay, again, we saw how well Snell pitched against Cincinnati, against Philadelphia, against Milwaukee, but Toronto's lineup is just different. And I said it yesterday too, or a couple days ago. I think Otani's the best player on the field. I think he's the, and again, I'm not a big fan of Otani, but I'm willing to say, I think Otani's the best player playing in the game. I know Guerrero has been the hottest player going into the series, but you know what I mean. The better lineup, though, in my opinion, is Toronto. I think I'm taking the top of the Dodgers lineup over the top of Toronto's lineup, and don't get me wrong, I love Vladdy. I think Springer's been playing great. I think Bo Bichette's going to continue to be fine in this role. Hell, again, look at the big home run, the big grand slam that is hit by, not Ernie Clement, sorry, Addison Barger off of the bench. I mean, there are guys in the Toronto lineup. That's why I like it from 1 to 9 better than Los Angeles, but I like Los Angeles' 1 through 4 better. And that's nothing against Springer or Guerrero or Bichette, but I mean, it's hard to say, oh, okay, well, you have Otani, Betts, Freeman, Smith. I mean, you're hard-pressed to pick a better 1, 2, 3, 4 than these guys, I mean, I know, again, it's hard to say, it's difficult because I want to say, and I get it, it's tough. Like, you think of great 1, 2, 3, 4s. You do think of C.J. Abrams, Dylan Cruz, James Wood, and Dalen Lyle. I understand they're right there, but I guess the Dodgers 1, 2, 3, 4 might be a little bit better. I don't know. It's really close though. Okay. Anyways, right? I mean, it is. It's questions we all have. I know. Like, what is Dalen Lyle doing in the offseason right now? Because he, might be better than Shohei. Regardless. Runs will be scored. And I see this game again. I look at Yoshinobu Yamamoto. He's had a good postseason so far. Don't forget the Phillies had a lot of success against Yoshinobu. Like, again, Yamamoto goes into Milwaukee and shuts down the Brewers. The Brewers couldn't hit anybody from Los Angeles in that series. They couldn't hit Snell. They couldn't hit Shohei. They couldn't hit Yoshinobu. They saw their most success against Glasnow, but it wasn't that much success. The Brewers haven't hit any Dodgers so far, they didn't in general. So I'm willing to say, okay, well, Yamamoto pitched 9 innings. He shut down Milwaukee. Who cares? Look what he did prior against the Philadelphia Phillies. 4 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs. There was one game in the NLDS in which the Philadelphia Phillies actually saw success against the Dodgers, and who was the starting pitcher for Los Angeles? It was Yamamoto. 4 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs. Now, a major part of that is the Kyle Schwarber moonshot hit into right field and everything that collapsed after, because then Bryce got on, and then Alec Boehm drove in Bryce after. But anyways, Yamamoto still gave up 3 runs in that start, and he got pulled after 4 innings and 67 pitches. If the Blue Jays can just get to Yoshinobu early, it's danger, because that's what Philadelphia did. Guys, the Phillies were not hitting well in that series at all. Again, Schwarber at the end of the series was trying to keep them together, but as a whole, I mean, the Phils had 1 good game out of 4 in the NLDS. Philadelphia worked their entire season to lose in the first round, or I guess after the bye, for the 2nd consecutive season. It's time to blow it all up, Philadelphia. Tear it all down. Send Bryce back to D.C., we have a great trade offer for you ready, or maybe you'll get traded to New York for Ben Rice. Anyways, though, I think Yoshinobu is going to give up runs today. If the Phillies are able to hit him, I expect the Toronto Blue Jays to be able to hit him as well. Look at this lineup and the damage they did yesterday. George Springer 2 for 5, Addison Barger 2 for 2, Vlad Guerrero 2 for 4. And oh, by the way, Barger back in the lineup today. He had to come off the bench, obviously, because of the left-handed pitcher in Blake Snell. Yep, that's a Davis Schneider start. Okay, righty on the mound. Welcome back, Barger in the 2 spot. So you get Springer, Barger, Guerrero goes 2 for 4, Bo Bichette goes 1 for 2, Alejandro Kirk goes 3 for 3, Varsho 1 for 3, Ernie Clement 2 for 4, who's been one of the hottest hitters on the planet. Andres Jimenez 1 for 4. I guess Miles Straw was the other starter. It's probably going to be, I know it's going to be Nathan Lucas here, and Lucas might hit at the top of the order too. I mean, they've got guys, man. For as well as the Blue Jays played yesterday and as well as they hit yesterday, they're a better team against right-handed pitching. They are. I mean, Springer is going to be fine. Bichette should be fine. He was leading the American League in hits at one point in time at the time of his injury. Guerrero is going to find ways to get on base. And here come the lefties now. Barger, who hits the grand slam to break that game open. Sure, they were up by 3 at that point, but Addison Barger's home run makes it a 5-2 game. Instead, it makes it a 9-2 game instead of a 5-2 game, right? So Barger gets to start the game now. You get Lucas, who started every single game of the Seattle series because the Mariners didn't have a single left-handed arm. That's their best lineup. Jimenez is a lefty against a righty. Your best lineup is against right-handed pitching, and they get that. So the game that we knew they were going to struggle in, and I thought they might struggle in, was against Blake Snell. And that was a combination of just how great Snell has been, how locked down he was against Cincinnati, against Philadelphia, and against Milwaukee. he finally cracked, and I'm pretty confident that Blake Snell's going to get another start in this series. I don't think the Blue Jays are going to sweep Los Angeles. Maybe they do, but I highly doubt it. So the Jays are going to have to figure out that southpaw, lineup once again, or at least, facing a southpaw lineup once more. But they got the game that they weren't really expected to get, because I believe their lineup is so much better against a right-handed pitcher. And then I've been over Kevin Gausman, obviously, when we were talking about Shohei Otani, but Gausman's hittable. Now, he's actually been pretty good in the playoffs so far, right? ERA's 2. First start against the Yankees in Game 1 of the ALDS. He went 5 2/3 innings, 4 hits, 1 run. First start against the Seattle Mariners in a loss. 5 2/3, 3 hits, 2 runs. Next start against Seattle, did lose as well on the road. 5 2/3, 3 hits, 1 run. Again, those losses, let's be honest, are not on Gausman. Gausman pitched back-to-back 5 2/3 outings against Seattle, gave up 2 and 1 runs respectively. I mean, that's not... that's really not on him. His team couldn't score for him and couldn't get him run support in either of the 2 games he pitched against the Mariners. And then obviously he came in relief in game number 7, pitched 1 shutdown inning, obviously, and actually got the victory in that game as well in relief. But Gausman's hittable. Guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I think the target spot and the mash spot is against Dodgers pitching tonight, because again, we saw it yesterday. You get Blake Snell out the game, and here comes the pen, and here comes the horrible pen. Now, 5 earned runs go on Blake Snell, but here comes Emmett Shaheen, who only got 1 out, gave up 3 runs, and walked a batter. Shaheen's ERA in the postseason now is 17.18. Anthony Banda, 2/3 innings, 3 hits, and 3 runs. Robleski and Klein get 6 consecutive outs to close the game, but the Dodgers bullpen that was already atrocious going into the series gets worse. Now, again, I hope everything's good with the Vesia family, because I saw the Dodgers put out that statement about how Vesia is not going to be on the postseason roster, on the World Series roster, and I don't know. I hope everything's good with him, but Vesia was one of their better arms. I don't know, had Vesia given up a run so far in the playoffs? He did in the Reds game, but other than Game 1 against the Cincinnati Reds in the wild card round, Vesia hadn't given up a run for the Dodgers. He's your best left-handed arm out the bullpen. He's not pitching the entire postseason. So again, I hope everything's good with him. But I mean, it's obviously, unfortunately, it's pretty serious if he's not going to be even eligible for later on in the World Series. So again, it sucks to hear that with Alex Vesia, but you take him away, and now this pen gets even worse. Now, Tanner Scott didn't make the World Series roster. He is still dealing with an injury. He's got a lower body injury. Now, again, I don't know if that probably helps the Dodgers, honestly. I know, again, you would like to have another lefty back in there, but Tanner Scott's just mid. But again, they said he's not healthy enough, so they went with who was his replacement? It was Eduardo Henriquez. They replaced him with the righty, the 23-year-old from Venezuela, who has only pitched in the wild card round. Okay, give up a run also in the wild card round as well. Give up I believe 2 runs he may have. Regardless, though, the bullpen's bad. Again, you take away Vesia, Tanner Scott, who cares? But the guys the Dodgers are throwing out the bullpen right now, other than Sasaki and I guess the occasional great Blake Trinan outing, Banda now becomes your number 1 lefty out the pen. That's a rough spot, because I know Vesia is pretty decent, and now, it's Banda's our lefty, or Dryer's our lefty, or we go to Robleski. It's definitely Banda 1 or Dryer. It's probably Dryer, but still, or Kershaw. Ooh, man, they are weak in that pen. And even the righties, too. Like, other than Sasaki, their righties suck. And we saw it on full display yesterday, so that's my point. If they get to Yoshinobu Yamamoto like the Phillies did 2 starts ago, they're going to be golden. And I firmly believe that's going to happen. I think Toronto gets to Yoshinobu, and I think now, Dodgers pen comes in, and they just start to implode. Same time, Gausman's hittable. I think Otani probably goes yard today, so there's another run tacked on. I mean, asking for 8 runs in this game is really not a lot, considering we had 15 yesterday, and we saw the over quite easily in that game. Again, we had it at plus 100 and it cashed. I'm going to take the over once more on back-to-back days. Minus 105 for over 7.5 runs up in Toronto between the Dodgers and the Jays. On to our final best bet of the video, and obviously that means the money line prediction. I am going in game number 2. I took the Dodgers yesterday. That did not go the right way, which is fine. I'm not really complaining. So now we're taking the Jays. Plus 110. I'm telling you, the Dodgers are in trouble now. Because, again, the point I continue to make, Game 1 was not an expected Jays victory, right? I was thinking going into the series, all right, Jays just steal one game, or it's not even steal, you're at home. But if the Jays go back to Los Angeles at 1-1, all right, we're getting somewhere. Because then it's a 3-game series in Los Angeles, and if you can win the 3-game series, you're going back home up in the series. Or worst case, you just got to win one in Los Angeles, and you have to, just like they did in the ALCS against the Mariners, you win back-to-back in Toronto, and you obviously win the series. They already got their one. And now, you're not playing with house money because, again, you're expected to win the home games. That's the whole point of having a home field advantage throughout the entirety of the postseason, which the Blue Jays obviously earned in the regular season. But now there's confidence. Now you know you can win and beat this team. And not just, oh, we just got by. No. You know you can dominate this team now. Because that's what Toronto's done. They dominated the Los Angeles Dodgers yesterday. It looked bad early. Do not get me wrong, right? It looked very bad early. Dodgers get on the board first. They're up 2-0. Bases loaded spot. Oh no. Get nothing. I mean, that was a huge, way to get out that jam in the second inning, man. Kike, of course, does his voodoo playoff devil magic. And then you got bases loaded after the Tommy Edman infield single. Pages, Savage strikes him out. Big opportunity for Otani with the bases loaded. Savage gets him to roll over to first base. Found a way out, man. And then obviously the Dodgers scored one in the third with the Will Smith RBI single that brought in Mookie. That's the last time the Dodgers scored until the 7th, obviously, where Otani hit the 2-run shot that really didn't matter anymore. I'm looking at this game, everything I've said it before, and this is what we had always thought about the Dodgers. I know we've seen with the Dodgers throughout this entire season, and, in the cold open, or, the very opening of the World Series, Joe Davis, who is a Dodgers announcer, says, this is a Dodgers team that really played 500 baseball throughout the regular season, but just went through stretches. And I'm thinking to myself, all right, dude, it's not like, okay, it's not like the Dodgers snuck in with 84 wins. They won 93 games. They lost less than 70 games. What are you talking about? This was a 500 baseball team for most of the season. That's completely inaccurate, and you are the Dodgers everyday announcer. So again, whatever. I had to mention that. I thought it was ridiculous Davis said that. But their bullpen, and what we saw throughout the course of the regular season, their bullpen was just bad, and it's continued to be bad. The thing is, in the playoffs, I don't want to say they've got bailed out by their pitching because, you just got to give all the credit in the world to that starting rotation and obviously the 4 aces they put together in Snell, in Yamamoto, in Glasnow, and in Shohei. But if you can just get to that bullpen, they are screwed. They are. And again, in the regular season, they couldn't always go to this elite pitching because there was injuries. Glasnow was out for a while. Snell was out for a while, right? Shohei wasn't always pitching. And even in some games where Shohei pitched, he can only go 3 innings. So, okay, here comes Shaheen. Here comes Dreyer, right? We got to Kasperaskis, whatever the hell that dude's name is, right? We have to go to all these guys. And obviously, they were starting Kershaw. And they were, in a postseason series, obviously, and throughout the course of the postseason, they've just had their 4 starters. And every single game that we've watched them play, they've gotten great length out of their starters, except for one. The only game they couldn't get depth out of a starter was the game they lost. It was game number 3 against the Phillies. Because every other game that the Dodgers play in the playoffs, their starters go at least 6 innings. And that was the one. Yoshinobu gets chased out, Phillies win. And you see yesterday, yes, Snell goes, 5 innings? But you push Snell, and obviously they had to pull him in the 6th. But you get Snell out of there early, and okay, everything starts to implode because they go from Snell to Shaheen to Banda. Again, Shaheen and Banda combined get through that 6th inning, that horrible 6th inning for the Dodgers. But those two guys combined give up 6 runs in that 6th inning, in the bottom of the 6th. Obviously, again, there were 9 total runs, and 3 of them were credited to Snell. So 3 were to Snell, 3 was to Shaheen, and the other 3 were to Banda, right? But they are in danger with this lineup because I had always asked too, okay, obviously we knew the Reds probably weren't going to crack the equation from the Dodgers, okay, and get to that pen early. Phillies could only get to the pen early in 1 game. The Brewers never got to the pen early. I watched the 2 home games the Brewers got in Milwaukee against the Dodgers. Game 1, Blake Snell went 8 innings. Game 2, Yoshinobu Yamamoto went a full, complete game. Gave up 1 run in the first batter of the game to Jackson Chourio, and then completely wiped out the rest of the Brewers lineup, went 9 full innings, 9 strong innings. So we had seen good lineups in the regular season in Philadelphia and Milwaukee struggle to get into that bullpen at all, and in Game 1, the Blue Jays do it. That just goes to show how good this lineup is right now, and how this lineup is just firing on all cylinders with Springer, with Guerrero, with Bichette back now, Barger, Lucas will be back in the lineup today. Kirk is playing fairly well too, hitting fairly well. It's a dangerous lineup, man. It is difficult to go out there and beat. And if they can just get to that pen again, I think the Dodgers are in a lot of trouble. I think they are. Because if you go back down to LA 2-0, again, you got to take care of business and win your 3 games at home, but I don't think Glasnow is your best option right now. You have to go to Glasnow, but you can argue Glasnow is their 4th best starter, and he's in line for a Game 3 start. I think they haven't declared that, so they could go Otani. Actually, they probably should go Otani in Game 3. Yeah, if I'm them, I'm going Otani Game 3 regardless of what happens here. Because if you go Otani Game 3, you ensure Otani's going to get the ball again in Game 7, and then Glasnow is your guy out the bullpen in Game 7. So that's what I would do if I'm them, but I believe it will be a Tyler Glasnow start in Game 3, and then it will be a Shohei Otani start in Game 4. Regardless of that, I think this Game 2, I believe it goes to the Blue Jays. I think it does. I think Gausman is going to pitch well enough. I think Gausman's going to give up runs, because we've seen Gausman give up runs in every start he's had so far in the playoffs, and that's okay. It's how Toronto backs up their starting pitching. Look at the games that they had against the Yankees early on in Toronto. Willie Savage pitched very well. But Gausman gave up, a run early in that start. And what happens? Well, his team goes out there and gets him 4 runs right after. Like when Gausman gets pulled in that game, it was a 2-1 game in the 7th. And what does Toronto do? They put up back-to-back 4 spots in the 7th and the 8th against the Yankees. And I get the Yankees are different than the Dodgers, but I think we're going to be okay here. Dodgers lineup, I had said this before, 1 through 6, they're great. There's, and especially 1 through 4, they're great. But the bottom of the lineup is concerning. It is. The bottom of the lineup, it's just, I get it, like, Kike has his random stuff, that random nights that he has, but, even, Teo's struggling. Muncy's got big power, obviously. He's the all-time Dodgers leader in home runs in the playoffs. But beyond Otani, Betts, Freeman, and Smith, Teoscar's iffy sometimes. Muncy is sometimes all or nothing. Kike will provide that one clutch hit, because whatever, but he had that RBI single in the top of the 2nd that drove in the first round of the World Series in 2025, and then what did Kike do after? Struck out 3 times in a row in the 4th, 6th, and 8th. And then, Edman and Pages to close out the lineup. Again, I said this yesterday or 2 days ago, I think they should go to Alex Call. I get it, Pages is your best outfielder, defensively, you need to go to Alex Call. Call is going to give you great at-bats, and Pages is an 0.77 hitter so far in the postseason. I don't know. I think that's what they need to do, but who cares? I'm on the Blue Jays today, so I want the Blue Jays to win the series, so I don't care. I can shout out to the former Washington National, though, and Alex Call, Hey, a former Nat's got to get a ring in this series. Obviously, Scherzer or Call. I do hope it's Max getting his 3rd, tying Betts in the all-time, or I guess the current players leaderboard. And then, again, Max can go to DC next year and get number 4, right? Yeah. Anyways, I'm taking the Jays today in Game number 2 of the World Series. I believe they get it done. They've got all the momentum back in Toronto, back in front of the 6th god, Drizzy Drake. I think the Blue Jays should be able to get it done. The entire city's around them now. I think it's a really good spot for them. I get it. Gausman can be shaky. I think if you get to Yamamoto early, he folds. Look at what the Phillies did to him after Schwarber hit the home run, and then they continued to pile it on after, putting 3 straight runs on Yamamoto, and then he just crumbled after, and they had to pull him. Same thing happens tonight. There's a chance the Dodgers strike first again, and that's okay. Because the Blue Jays will just respond. We've seen it before. We saw it yesterday. We will see it again. Give me Toronto Blue Jays money line at home up at Rogers Center. Plus 110 for the Jays to win game number 2 and go back to Los Angeles up 2-0. Folks, thank y'all for watching our MLB Best Bets here for game number 2 of the World Series. If you haven't yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. And make sure to comment if you did disagree with any of the picks. We'll be back late tomorrow night for Game 3 Best Bets. And again, we'll see you later today for our NBA Best Bets and NFL Best Bets and Best Player Props. So, folks, thank y'all for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. And Mamba forever.